world, in a better world, it's like, man, there's not enough spots on the mountain for all the quarterbacks. Instead, vacancies galore. Anthony Richardson played himself off. Kirk Cousins, even in a win, couldn't get back on. Obviously, McCorkle's off. Jameis off and benched. Levis off, maybe benched.
Yeah.
I don't even know. The Giants still starting Tim Boyle and his 1 touchdown, 13 interception college resume. The Raiders, who knows who's starting. Derek Carr hurt. 7th row. Man, this shows you what a crapshoot the draft is. Let me tell you. Brock has to drop. I know the game was Thursday, so we all forget about it. Brock has to drop. Tua, you know who all of a sudden voraciously sharing our Dolphins segment yesterday? Dolphins Twitter. They're turning on Tua. When you've lost Tuanon, you've lost the country, my friend. Caleb has to drop.
The number one
Bo Nix, I'm telling you guys, go back and watch that Colts-Broncos game and see how desperately the Broncos tried to give it to the Colts before Jonathan Taylor and A.D. Mitchell and Shane Steichen were like, we don't want the playoffs. We don't even really get paid for those games. Cooper Rush gets to stay. Bryce sadly has to drop. He's on a little Bryce sugar rush, but at least he stays on the mountain. 6th row, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Highest he's been on the mountain in months, and he deserved it. Russ from... What was he, Wild?
He was in the mix.
I think it was in the conversation.
He's right in the verge.
In the conversation.
Oh, you could make a
the
case.
lowest
Yeah,
one, but
whatever
that's the
it
lowest
was,
one.
you know what it is? You guys are all wrong. What it was dumb. Russell Wilson MVP conversation, he drops. Kyler moves up a touch. Drake May, even in a loss where they were down 20-3, that you and Bill Simmons all week long were like, Drake May can win that game by himself.
Well.
Again, that's fine. He stays where he is, then there's some vacancies. 5th row. Jalen Hurts moves up. 90% because of his play, 10% because of that pendant. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah, pretty.
That guaranteed,
that whole look.
That NFL quarterback guaranteed money jewelry, oh, my goodness. Sam Darnold.
He was sharp.
Not great this week. Had been playing really well, but I think when you see the guys ahead of him, you'll think it's fair. My guy, Gino. Rough week for him, and Brew is correct in that his numbers this year have not been spectacular.
Thank you.
He's making some high-level plays. The numbers not spectacular, and now they're no longer looking like a playoff team. I'm telling you right now, I wanted to move Justin Herbert down. He deserved to move down.
Yeah.
And he is throwing short of the sticks on 4th down. All this stuff is so maddening. CJ, they won. He had like 130 yards. He's not playing great. But again, there's too many vacancies. There's even a vacancy on the row above him. Show it to you. First, I have to move my guy Stafford down even in a win because I watched that game against Purdy. They won. He didn't play great, so I had to drop him.
One good throw.
That was very
big.
And Jordan Love, I wanted actually to move him up. There's not room on the rows above him. And Jaden did get to move up. He's had back-to-back really solid games and a vacancy on this row. 3rd row. Listen, Joe Burrow, I know they scored 37 points. He was furious. If he's furious, he's got, like, with how they played, how he played, the fun, like, he's got to drop a bit. Goff stays where he is. That almost feels unfair. He had 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, but there's no room above him. And Bake Show. I didn't realize this until I did the mountain today. Baker right now is 4th in yards, 3rd in touchdowns, 3rd in completion percentage, 6th in passer rating.
He's having a.
I mean, that's a guy who, if you want to say he should be in the conversation.
He's definitely in
for
the
a
mix.
ballot.
In the conversation?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and now we're going to get to the 2nd row. Josh stays where he is. Lamar moves up with a brilliant performance. So Lamar took Burrow's spot, and then Patrick's at the top. And now I need a moment. Because I tossed and turned last night in anger.
Oh.
Not just at our dear friend Greg Jennings, who'll be back tomorrow, but the entirety of sports media. Because I've never seen what is happening right now with the conversation surrounding Patrick Mahomes. People want to say other guys are having a better year. That is definitively true. But I've got to listen to Greenberg say Josh Allen's having the best year he's ever seen.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes has 3 seasons, 18, 20, and 22, in every metric better than Josh Allen this year. I have to listen to people, absolutely. I have to listen to people say we need a real debate about who the best quarterback is, and the people who are debating Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. You know how all 3 of them, their last playoff appearance ended with them being outplayed by Patrick Mahomes. And
I thought you weren't a quarterback wins guy. I thought that's what you kept saying. I'm not a quarterback wins guy. I'm not a quarterback wins guy. So then it doesn't matter. It's not one-on-one. We've already been through this 10,000 times. The Kansas City Chiefs have been better. Patrick Mahomes has not been better. Okay? So can we just stop with this nonsense? I don't want to have the same conversation again and again and again. Patrick Mahomes has not been the best quarterback. He hasn't even been the second best quarterback for the last couple of years. I don't even know if he's been the third best quarterback in the last couple of years. But this year, especially, it's been Josh Allen has been number one. And then it's going to be Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. If you want to talk about the tiers, it's Josh Allen 1, Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow 2, then Patrick Mahomes. That's where it is, okay? That's where it is. You want to act like, oh, their last games. Patrick Mahomes did not outplay Josh Allen in the playoffs last year. He did not. Watch the game. Use your eyes, okay? Use your eyes. Josh Allen, literally, I've said this 10,000 times, he had more completions than Patrick Mahomes had pass attempts. And he was the leading rusher. And he would have had even more yards if his receivers could actually just catch the ball. So just stop with it already. Stop with the nonsense. And not to mention, those teams had to go up against the best defense in the NFL, which was the Kansas City Chiefs. You went up against the Bills, who had a decimated defense. The Bengals, when's the last time they had a good defense? So just stop. The best argument would be against the Chiefs, or excuse me, against the Ravens defense. But we know that they didn't show up offensively. Their game plan was bizarre. We just keep, like you said that you have to listen to all these people have these conversations. We have to listen to you say the same thing again and again and again. And go left and right with when you want to consider head-to-head and when you don't want to consider head-to-head. I mean, it's just crazy. And if you want to talk about like completion percentage and some of these other things, I mean, let's go look at who has the shortest average depth of target of those quarterbacks. It's Patrick Mahomes. Who's got the best yards after a catch? It would be Patrick Mahomes. Who's got the best offensive head coach? It would be Patrick Mahomes. Who's got, according to Nick, the best all-time playoff performer outside of a quarterback? Is Travis Kelce, according to Nick Wright. So it's just nonsense. It's truly nonsense. Also, why don't you do in total touchdowns? Why are you just doing passing touchdowns? No, that's right. Why don't you have rushing yards up there? Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. And
their season ending. There is not a guy in that other triumvirate whose best season from stats and accomplishments and winning is as good as Mahomes' worst season. Patrick Mahomes' worst year is better than all those guys' best year. Find me the year and we can debate it, but it's not debatable. And now I have to listen about Josh Allen, who's, again, maybe the MVP this year. High watermark of his career is one AFC Championship game appearance where he got blown out by Patrick. And Mahomes is working on his 7th straight AFC Championship game. Everyone's lost their mind. And it's like, oh, well, the Chiefs aren't doing that. They have the best record in the league. There's Mahomes Mountain, bro.
I agree with a lot of what you said in your rants about Mahomes, but oh boy, you're not gonna like my correction.
No. No.
Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the world.
He is not.
But, Nick, and I know it's supposed to be a rich tapestry. If this were quarterbacks you trust going into the playoffs, Mahomes should obviously be at the top. But if this season, this current regular season that we're in right now, we're in the regular season, has anything to do with the mountain, it's hard for me to say because I was the first to call him Jordan-esque. Mahomes must drop.
Oh, my God.
He has to. We are watching two guys, and I'm not even counting Joe Burrow, who's having a terrific year. We are watching two guys have historically great years. And you can say Josh's numbers aren't historically great, although some things, like the first player since Otto Graham in, 1954 to have 6 touchdowns, 3 rush, 3 pass in a game. The first player ever, quarterback ever, to have a passing touchdown, rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown. And then, he's beat the Chiefs, which is huge. I mean, the only player to beat him in essentially the last full calendar year. And he's beat Detroit, and then he's a one-man show with the eye test, for sure. Lamar has won 2 MVPs and is having his best year ever. And I'll say this for you, Nick. Lamar's throwing the ball so well. There's no excuse for it in the playoffs. They might not win it, but he cannot have a bad passing game because he's passing it like crazy. And then even Joe Burrow. So I would put Allen at the top, and then Lamar and maybe Mahomes, or even Lamar and Burrow second.
That's what I said.
And then move Mahomes. Show me the numbers again.
Below Burrow?
Show me the numbers again.
Yeah.
Mahomes' numbers are getting smashed.
Yeah, they are.
By all of them.
They are.
And this is the second straight year.
So
then where is Nick coming up that these guys' best years are not as good as Patrick Mahomes' worst years? Like, where is he even inventing that? Seriously. And again, we can pick and choose any little stat we want. But again, just watch the film. Just watch with your eyes. And even if we just want to use bare bone stats, then just look at that. Look at this right here. Not to mention, here's PFF. So if you really want to use stats, let's use the advanced analytics. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, all top 3, all within, one little percentage point away. And then you have a fall all the way down to 81 from Patrick Mahomes. And if you want to go back to 23, we have the same thing. Josh Allen, number 1. Lamar Jackson at 90. Again, all within about a point away from each other. And you got to go all the way down to 85. This is the year that Joe Burrow was injured, so it doesn't really count for Burrow. 85. So again, if we want to just use stats, then let's use the actual advanced analytics. Let's not just say, well, this quarterback had more touchdowns, or this quarterback had more interceptions, or this quarterback had a higher passer rating. Let's look at it from a whole then. So I just don't even know in what arena are you talking about? We know stats aren't everything, because how about this? Here's Tyreek Hill's stats. What stands out to you? The most yards he's ever had was with Miami. The most touchdowns, the most yards per game with Miami. Don't you think that means something? Does that mean something? Does that mean that Tua is a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes? Or does it show that maybe looking at the bare bones stats don't mean that? I mean, he played significantly better with Miami when you look at it. His best year with Kansas City, he had 1,400. Then he went to Miami and went to 1,700. 1,799, so practically 1,800. His yards per game shot through the roof. 100, 112. The highest he had with Kansas City was 92. So, I don't know. What are we saying here? Again, who do we think is a better quarterback, Tua or Patrick Mahomes? We know Patrick Mahomes is the better quarterback. And like I've already said in my other previous videos, Nick wants to talk about this head-to-head matchup as if it means something. We know he is a huge LeBron James fan. We know that he thinks that LeBron James is better than Steph Curry. Yet Steph Curry has a better head-to-head in the NBA Finals versus LeBron James. And if you're going to say, well, wait a second, that's basketball, that's different. Steph Curry had the better team. Exactly. Steph Curry had the better team. Just like the Kansas City Chiefs have had the better team, the better coach. Well, that's basketball. This is football. Exactly. Football, the sport that we all say is the ultimate team sport. Where in basketball, you have way more control over your team. One individual player has way more impact. So if anyone can take over a game, it's going to be a LeBron James in a basketball game rather than, say, a Burrow, Lamar, Allen, or Mahomes in a football game. That's why we literally say that football is the ultimate team sport. Yet we want to give all the wins and losses and all the glory all to just the one quarterback when it's convenient for us. If Brock Purdy won that Super Bowl again in the 49ers, would people have said, oh, that's Brock Purdy? He's better than Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow because he won the Super Bowl. Nobody would say that. Nobody would say that. We continue to have such nonsense conversations about all of this. I didn't even want to do this when I was watching this. I was like, I'm not going to get into this whole debate. Every single video right now is just Allen over Mahomes, whatever, bro. And then they say like, oh, I'm biased. I'm this, I'm that. Is Greg Jennings is biased? Greg Jennings has a dog in this fight? Is Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, are they my big brothers? Like, I don't understand. It's just a reality. It's just an actual fact. It's okay. It's okay. I've never seen people just be so obsessed with needing their quarterback to be the best quarterback. It's actually kind of bonkers, especially when your team has consistently been the best team. That should be enough. That should honestly be enough. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say that you have the best team, but then say that that best team doesn't somehow help your quarterback. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. None.
Can I ask a question? Honest question.
Burrow thing was too far.
No, then fine. Then Allen at the top and
take
Lamar and Mahomes.
What's the Chiefs' record with Lamar?
So now it's just about QB wins.
I'm asking. My pause there was odd. Is there any quarterback in the league other than Patrick that you are confident this team is 13-1? I'm not.
I am.
And do you think
you don't think Josh Allen, if you do the switcheroo, you put Josh Allen on the Chiefs?
No, I don't. You do?
Oh. I don't know why it would be so wild.
Let's ask it the other way.
I don't think a lot of those games, and again, Mahomes, I don't know that these games are that close.
Okay, but so here's the thing, and
because he's clutch, more clutch than anybody.
It's so frustrating. You're right. He is more clutch than anybody. He also doesn't have the floor these guys do. I'm listening to that Josh Allen is having the best year in NFL history, is running away with the MVP. Wilds told us last week he had this year the worst game in NFL history.
That's true. One of them.
9 for 30.
Is there any scenario where you can see Mahomes being blown out by 4 scores like Josh Allen was this year? Is there any scenario where you can see a Mahomes team losing 2 games to 2 of the teams fighting for the #1 pick? Like Lamar had.
Last year they lost several bad. How many games they lost? 6 games.
They lost to the Raiders and the Broncos.
Yeah, Denver won 8 games. Denver was a divisional opponent that won half their game.
They were a team in flux. Russ was in, Russ was out.
Last year.
Is there any
last year
scenario?
they had bad losses.
Is there any scenario where you could see a?
You lost to the Eagles, who you said was one of the worst teams in the NFL. You think the Broncos are trash and that Russ is washed and that Sean Payton's not a good coach. You know the Raiders aren't good. It was Aiden O'Connell, but now you want to say, oh, they had 8 wins and it was a tough divisional game. Get out of here. Get out of here. That is revisionist history. That is the definition of revisionist history. Oh, and right. Only Patrick Mahomes would have this team with this many wins. Patrick Mahomes has actively been hurting this team at times. He's the one that blocked the field goal. He's the one that had the fumbled snap with the Raiders. Like, he struggled to beat the Raiders. Like, what are you talking about? You struggled to beat the Raiders. Miss me with that nonsense. You struggled to beat the Chargers, who you think Justin Herbert is not that great of a quarterback, whereas the Bucks blew the doors off of the Chargers. Like, just stop it. Seriously, it makes no sense. None. A bunch of the quarterbacks that Patrick Mahomes won this year was against quarterbacks that aren't even on this mountain right now. You struggled to beat Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. So just stop. Stop. Patrick Mahomes has had such terrible games this year. We know that. We know that. It's okay to admit it. Josh Allen has had bad games. Lamar Jackson has had bad games. Joe Burrow has had bad games. All quarterbacks have had bad games. So if you just want to single out one bad game or a couple bad games as a way to pull down a quarterback you don't like, makes no sense, because you have to do with the same thing for your own quarterback then. Like, none of these arguments are making sense. None. Yeah, you know what? Josh Allen would be able to endure, would also be able to have a better run game. You think Andy Reid wouldn't elevate Josh Allen? Andy Reid wouldn't elevate Lamar Jackson? So Andy Reid's this unbelievable coach who has elevated Every single quarterback he has ever coached, he has elevated every single quarterback. I've already gone through all those numbers before. Every single quarterback he's ever coached has had their best year with. Significantly. We don't think that he's helped elevate Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is just uncoachable, apparently. Uncoachable. That Patrick Mahomes hasn't been improved by Andy Reid. And we don't think that having Harbaugh or Sean McDermott or one OC here and one OC over there, we don't think that there's any room for those quarterbacks to be improved having Andy Reid as their head coach. Really? Oh, do you understand how insane that sounds? Seriously, do you understand how insane that sounds? That those quarterbacks wouldn't have benefited from having Andy Reid as their head coach. Andy Reid has benefited every single coach, every single quarterback. According to Nick, he thinks that Andy Reid is literally the best coach of all time, better than Bill Belichick, and even showed that is an all-time great without even Patrick Mahomes. You realize Andy Reid is a literal Hall of Famer without Patrick Mahomes. The stats speak for themselves. His record, his success, his production. Is he better with Patrick Mahomes? Obviously. He is obviously going to be even better with Patrick Mahomes. These things aren't mutually exclusive. But to act like Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson wouldn't benefit from having Andy Reid as their head coach and therefore be better quarterbacks is bonkers. That is bonkers. That makes no sense. None. Zero. It is an indefensible argument. It's indefensible. Indefensible.
Healthy Patrick Mahomes team being in the position Joe Burrow's team is in. Like, Lamar Jackson twice prior to last year did not participate in the playoffs. We can say he just got bad luck with injuries. Well, I just watched Patrick get hurt in the playoffs 2 years ago, not miss a game, maybe not miss this year. Joe Burrow's about to go 2 years in his prime, missing the playoffs.
That's what I've been saying.
Well, no, again,
that's fine. That's fine having him ahead of, because obviously Burrow doesn't have wins, but right now, again, we're not talking about who's like, I don't know what you do with the mountain, but I'm saying if the regular season has anything to do with Allen and Lamar are playing better than Mahomes right now, and so are several of these other guys.
So again, the Lamar part of it is tough for me.
He's not playing better than Patrick?
Listen, his best games have been way better than Patrick's best games. But they've lost 5 times, and his fingerprints are on the Chiefs' loss. His fingerprints are on the Raiders' loss.
Well, the Chiefs' loss, he did have, well over 300 yards in that game?
Yes, and he also missed the player in the end zone to tie the game and turned the ball over at the very beginning of the game. If we remember, you agreed with me that right before the likely throw, he missed Zay Flowers. I don't think.
And Patrick Mahomes was able to take advantage of a play with Worthy where it was completely blown coverage. Not to mention, Patrick Mahomes also threw an interception that game. Okay? So, what are we talking about? Patrick Mahomes only threw 20 for 28, 291 yards, okay? 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That's hardly this amazing game, especially against a Ravens defense that has hardly been all that special. We obviously know that. So I don't know where you're getting off that the big difference maker was somehow in a way Patrick Mahomes and that Lamar Jackson's fingertips were all over. I'm not going to act like Lamar Jackson played this unbelievable game, but to act like Lamar Jackson was just like this big limiting factor. The dude had 122 yards rushing. Look what he needed to do. He had 273 yards passing and had to throw 41 times. They asked him to throw the ball 41 times. He had to throw the ball 41 times and rush for 122. Do you see the difference in that? Patrick Mahomes had to run the ball twice. He had to run the ball twice and had 3 yards. The Ravens were asking Lamar Jackson infinitely more. Okay, he had nearly more completions than Patrick Mahomes had passing attempts. And had to rush for 122 yards. And again, I called out Lamar Jackson for that game for missing some of those throws. I did. But Patrick Mahomes threw an interception. That's also really bad, wouldn't you say? So talk about it both ways, man. God. This whole mountain has just gotten completely derailed. So there's like no point in even really seriously going through it. Purdy should obviously not be at the very bottom. He's not on the level as Cooper Rush or Bryce Young. That's just nonsense. I mean, that's obviously nonsense. Talking about Bo Nix. You know, Bo Nix actually, right, it wasn't that great of a game, but like he played significantly better in the second half, and his team was praising him. Right, Sam Darnold moves down. Sam Darnold didn't play bad. Like, what are you talking about? That makes no sense. None. And you're right, you think Baker Mayfield's on the level of Joe Burrow? Baker Mayfield's been playing awesome, and I have been wildly impressed with Baker Mayfield. He is not Joe Burrow. That's insanity. That makes, again, objectively 0 sense. Comically, hilariously 0 sense. Man, this was a mess, honestly. This was truly a mess. I don't even know, man. I said my piece. What do you guys all have to say? Let me know in the comments below. This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be a juicy one. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.